The Chicago Bears have found themselves in a rather unique position heading into this year's draft. With a lot of speculation surrounding their choices, especially at the number 10 overall pick, the team's general manager recently offered some insights that shed light on how the Bears might approach their selections. Among the points discussed, one in particular caught my attention, as it could very well shape the Bears' strategy in the coming days. The general manager spoke about blue-chip players, those rare prospects that are considered elite talents, and explained that the pool of such players in this draft class is somewhat limited. However, he also mentioned that there is a large group of solid, starting-caliber players available, spanning from the early picks all the way into the 50s, 60s, or even 70s. For the Bears, with the number 72 pick in hand, this could provide some interesting opportunities for how they might approach the draft and who they may target. The Bears have 4 picks within the top 72, and with that, they could potentially land starting-caliber players across multiple positions. However, the question remains, can they land a true blue-chip player at the number 10 pick? This is where things get intriguing. The general manager's comments suggest that the team is on the edge of having an opportunity to select a blue-chip prospect, but the question is whether one of these top-tier players will still be available by the time the Bears pick. If there are only 7 elite players in the draft, as suggested, will any of them be left when the Bears are on the clock? There are several scenarios that could play out that may allow one of these blue-chip prospects to drop, and that is something worth keeping an eye on as the draft approaches. One of the key factors that could lead to one of the top-tier players slipping is the potential selection of quarterbacks. The Bears might benefit if a second or even third quarterback gets taken off the board earlier than expected. That could cause some of the other top players to fall down the draft board, creating an opportunity for the Bears to grab a potential game changer. Another scenario involves teams that may reach for a player due to need. If a team ahead of the Bears selects a player earlier than anticipated, it could open up a slot for a blue-chip prospect to slip down to Chicago's pick. As always, the draft is full of uncertainty and surprises, and this year promises to be no different. But it all depends on how many genuine blue-chip players are actually rated in this draft. Based on the comments made by the general manager, it seems like the number of truly elite prospects is in the single digits, with many of them likely to go off the board before the Bears selection. Therefore, the Bears will need to rely on a bit of luck, hoping that one of these highly sought-after players will somehow fall into their lap at number 10. It is the kind of scenario that keeps everyone guessing as to how the first round will unfold, and it will be fascinating to watch as it develops. One of the most exciting parts of the draft is seeing how things unfold with other teams. The Bears will need to rely on the teams ahead of them in the draft order to determine what their options will be. With just a few weeks left before the event, the coverage will intensify, and we'll have a clearer picture of what's likely to happen. The draft order itself holds some clues to emerging possibilities, especially in terms of which teams could take players that might impact the Bears' own selections. For example, if Tennessee selects a particular player, that could play into the Bears' hands by allowing other players to slip to them. Conversely, if another team chooses not to select a player that the Bears are eyeing, that could complicate their draft strategy. What happens in the next few picks could drastically change how things look for the Bears. Teams ahead of Chicago will be making decisions that could affect the availability of players that the Bears have targeted. With each pick that goes by, the chances of landing a player from their wish list may either increase or decrease. This is the beauty of the draft, with its endless potential for surprises. There's also the question of how other teams may act in terms of trades. Will any teams look to move up the draft board to grab a player they covet? Will the Bears consider trading down to acquire more picks? These are the kinds of scenarios that add complexity to the draft and make it so unpredictable. Teams are constantly weighing their options, and the Bears will be no different. As the draft approaches, the speculation around who might be picked and when will only grow. There are 5 players that the Bears are reportedly evaluating closely, and there's also one player being considered as an honorable mention. It's important to note that these evaluations aren't necessarily based on a rank preference for the 10th overall pick, but rather on how well these players fit into the team's long-term strategy. One player, in particular, has been labeled as a long shot. While it isn't expected that he'll still be available by the time the Bears pick, if he is, the team would be wise to select him. The player is considered to have immense potential, but his draft stock has fluctuated due to certain off-field concerns. The Bears are likely weighing the risks and rewards, but if he falls to them, there's a chance he could be their pick. There are two skill players that stand out as potential selections for the Bears at number 10. These players are seen as game changers, and if one of them is still available at 10, it would be hard to pass them up. Many believe there is a real possibility that one of these players could still be on the board by the time the Bears pick, which is a good sign. Given that the number 10 spot is roughly halfway through the top 10 picks, it seems likely that one of them could be there. However, there's also a chance that another team may take a player that the Bears are interested in, and that could change their draft strategy altogether. The Bears need to be ready for any eventuality, whether that means selecting one of these skill players or pivoting to a different position if the top choices aren't available. At the end of the day, the Bears' decision-making process comes down to balancing risk and reward. If the team has the opportunity to select one of these skill players, they'll need to carefully consider whether that player fits their needs and whether he can contribute right away. But what happens if these players are off the board by the time Chicago's pick arrives? Will they be forced to look elsewhere, perhaps for a player to fill a different need? This uncertainty is part of what makes the draft such an exciting event. Even with a solid plan in place, things can change in an instant, and teams need to be flexible enough to adapt to those changes. The Bears are preparing for every scenario, but the question remains, what will they do when their pick finally comes up? In many ways, the Bears' current situation mirrors that of teams in similar positions during previous drafts. Every decision made at this stage could have a significant impact on the team's future. The number 10 overall pick is crucial, but it also opens up a host of possibilities. If the Bears opt to stay at 10, they could potentially land a player who can contribute right away, or they could choose to add depth at a position of need. The key to their success will be evaluating not only the players available, but also the trade offers that may come their way as other teams look to make moves. One thing is certain, the Bears will have to balance short-term needs with long-term goals. If they can identify a player who fits into their system and can make an immediate impact, it may be worth staying at 10. However, if they feel the value of the picks they would receive in a trade-down scenario outweighs the talent available at 10, then moving down might be the right move. Adding to the complexity of the Bears' decision-making is the uncertainty surrounding how the rest of the draft will unfold. With several teams in the top 10 having clear needs, the Bears may find that the player they covet is taken off the board before their pick arrives. This could force them to reconsider their options and shift their focus to another position. The unpredictability of the draft is what makes it so exciting for fans and analysts alike, but it's also what makes it so difficult for teams to prepare for. In the end, the Bears may have to rely on a bit of luck, hoping that the player they want is still available when it's their turn to pick. As the draft board takes shape, one of the biggest factors that could influence the Bears' strategy is the number of quarterbacks that go off the board. In many drafts, quarterbacks are among the most highly coveted players, and if more than one is selected in the early picks, it could lead to some of the other top prospects sliding down. The Bears could benefit from such a scenario, as it could provide them with an opportunity to land a player they might not have expected to be available. Similarly, if a team ahead of the Bears reaches for a player out of necessity, it could cause other players to fall. The Bears will need to pay close attention to these factors, as they could significantly impact their draft strategy. The Bears have made it clear that they are looking for players who can help them win now, but they are also focused on building for the future. As they evaluate their options, they will need to take into account not only the immediate needs of the team, but also the long-term potential of the players they are considering. The general manager has emphasized the importance of landing a player who can make an impact right away, but he has also acknowledged that building a sustainable, competitive team requires making smart decisions with an eye on the future. This balance between short-term and long-term planning will be crucial in shaping the team's approach to the draft. One of the most significant challenges facing the Bears in this draft is determining which positions to prioritize. With the team needing help at several positions, including offensive line, wide receiver, and defensive line, the general manager will have to weigh which position offers the best value at number 10. While the Bears may have a clear preference for one position, they will also have to remain flexible and open to taking the best player available. This is especially true when it comes to selecting players who can contribute immediately. In an ideal world, the Bears would be able to land a player who can step in and make an impact from day one. But they must also consider the long-term potential of the players they select. Another important aspect of the Bears' strategy will be how they approach the left tackle position. While they have made moves to bolster their offensive line in recent years, the left tackle spot remains a critical position that must be addressed if the team hopes to improve its offensive line play. The general manager has said that the team will evaluate potential left tackle candidates, but it remains to be seen if they will prioritize this position with their top picks or look to address it later in the draft. If the Bears do not land a top left tackle early, they may have to consider alternatives, such as trading for a veteran or relying on their current roster. Regardless of the approach, the left tackle position will be a key factor in determining the Bears' success in the coming years. The team's evaluation process will continue as the draft approaches, with a group of players being closely analyzed for the number 10 pick. While there are some clear favorites, the Bears are also keeping an eye on players who may be available later in the draft. This strategy allows the team to remain flexible, ensuring that they can adapt to whatever the draft may bring. As the days tick down to the event, the Bears' draft board will become clearer, and they will need to make tough decisions based on both the talent available and their team's needs. The decision to trade up or down, to select a player who can make an immediate impact, or to add depth for the future, is one that will ultimately shape the direction of the franchise for years to come. With just a few weeks remaining until the draft, the Bears front office is likely already finalizing their strategy. The team's general manager has made it clear that they are not afraid to make bold moves, but they are also committed to building a team that can compete for years to come. The draft is an opportunity for the Bears to take another step toward building a championship-caliber roster, and how they navigate their picks will be a crucial part of that process. Whether they trade up to secure a top talent or trade down to accumulate more picks, the Bears' strategy will have a lasting impact on the future of the franchise. The countdown to the draft is on, and the excitement is palpable. Whatever direction the Bears choose, it will be a pivotal moment in the team's journey toward becoming a contender once again. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In an unexpected twist that has NFL fans buzzing, Roquan Smith's potential return to the Chicago Bears is creating waves across the league. Just a year after becoming the highest-paid linebacker in the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens, Smith is rumored to be considering a return to where it all began. Could this move reshape the Bears' defense for years to come? A video circulating on social media seems to suggest this possibility, fueling speculation and leaving fans on the edge of their seats. Roquan Smith's journey from a standout college player at Georgia to an NFL star is well known. His career skyrocketed when he earned the Butkus Award and quickly became a leader for the Ravens defense after a mid-season trade in 2022. With 169 total tackles and several standout performances, including earning Pro Bowl and All-Pro honors in his first year in Baltimore, Smith proved himself as one of the league's top linebackers. But despite his success, Chicago has always held a special place in his heart, and the allure of returning home could be too strong to ignore. The thought of reuniting with the Bears comes at an intriguing moment. With Chicago's defense in the midst of a rebuilding phase, Smith's leadership and unparalleled skills would be an immediate game-changer. Imagine pairing him with the Bears' current defensive core, blending the young talent with a seasoned Pro Bowler who already knows how to dominate the NFL stage. This is a combination that could quickly make the Bears one of the most formidable defensive units in the league. However, this move raises many questions. After signing a 5-year, $100 million extension with the Ravens, including a whopping $45 million in guarantees, Smith's contract situation makes a potential return to Chicago far from a sure thing. Would the Bears be willing to match or exceed his current contract? And with Smith's undeniable impact in Baltimore, would he want to leave a team that's just beginning to hit its stride? As the rumor mill churns, all eyes are now on Smith's next steps. With a career-defining contract, a legacy to protect, and a potential reunion with the Bears on the horizon, The next chapter of Roquan Smith's career promises to be one of the most captivating storylines in the NFL. Whether he stays with the Ravens or heads back to Chicago, his decision will have ramifications that stretch far beyond just one team. Stay tuned. This is a story you won't want to miss. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.